All right, so I'm going to walk you guys through exporting parts to work on our 3D printers and how to actually set up those 3D printing softwares to correctly run the parts. All right, so here's a part I have. It's an inventor part, very simple. It's just a chess piece. We're going to export this to be the correct file format, and then we'll put it on the flash drive. We'll throw it in the printer, and we'll use the printer. All right, so I've created this part. It's an IPT, that's an inventor part file. We need to export this as an STL. All right, so to do this, we're going to go to File. No, you guys are normally clicking Save As. Make sure you choose Export, and then within Export, we want to use a CAD format. All right, so we're going to click CAD format. Now, I've already exported this part once as part 1. I already exported it because sometimes that export process takes a while. So for the video, I just want to simplify that. I have it here. But what you're going to do is right down here where it says Save As Type, it defaults to a DWG like this. Now, we don't want a DWG. We want an STL. So STL is down here at the bottom. We'll choose that. And then options, we're going to change a couple things in options. You want to go from binary to ASCII. And then the inches, it defaults to millimeter. You want to change this to inch. All right, so make sure it's ASCII inch, and then we'll choose high resolution. All right, so we hit OK. Now, just so you guys know, my options here defaulted to the correct settings. Yours default to different things. So this is what you ultimately want it to look like: ASCII, inch, and high. Make sure that you're saving this part to the correct file or folder as well. So I have a flash drive. It's called HPV 150W. All right, within that flash drive, I have a folder for myself. I'm going to go ahead and save this here. I would call this chess piece 1. Right, so I'm not going to hit save right now because the video, it takes a while. This part 1, that's the chess piece I already exported. All right, so you would hit save. I'm going to hit cancel. All right, so now that we have an STL, our actual slicer programs will read them, and we'll be able to use this part in our printer. All right, so I'm going to open up this Makerbot print software. Now, this software you can download directly off of their website, Makerbot. All you got to do is go onto the website, Google Makerbot print, just like this up here, and hit download. When you download it to our school computers, you're going to have to get admin access. So you'll have to call over a teacher. We'll input our information, and it'll download to the computer. But this is what it looks like. All right, so when you open up this software, it's going to ask you to create a login with Makerbot through their website. That's totally okay. Use your school email. Make it a password that you'll remember. It doesn't take long at all. You'll have to log into your email and confirm that you want to make that account. But once you do that, you'll see a screen like this. All right, what we're looking at right now is our actual printer bed. All right, so this right here, this rectangle is how big our printers are. All right, this box that's up above the print bed here, that's how tall you could print a possible part. All right, we're never going to print anything this tall. Our machines probably can't handle it. But this is a simulation that shows how big the part is in real life compared to the actual print bed. All right, so we need to go find that part. I'm going to go ahead and hit Add Models over here. It's going to default me to that flash drive. So once again, there's the flash drive. I choose Beasley. That's the folder that I put it in. Part 1 is that chess piece that I want. I'll go ahead and hit Open. All right, when it opens up that STL, it's going to be really, really tiny on this build plate. So we're going to have to change a couple settings so that the part is actually correct. All right, so there's the part, that little blue dot that's on the screen. All right, obviously that's too small. It defaults to loading it in as millimeters. So we're going to have to change it from 2 millimeters to 2 inches. All right, so when we're working on these parts, you need to click on the actual part so it has that blue border around it, and then we'll make our way down these settings. All right, so I'm going to start with model info. It defaults to that millimeters. I'm going to change this to inches. You'll see the part grow to the actual size that I want it, so that's the correct size. Now that we're done with model info, we'll go to print settings. All right, in print settings, we want to make sure that we still have the Smart Extruder Plus selected. Balance is totally fine for this. We could change this to a different infill, which basically means how much material is going to go on the inside of the part. We don't really want to change that to either one of these. These are for quicker, cheaper parts, so we'll keep it on balance. We're not going to mess with the travel speed or the layer height. All right, that's just how fast your extruder moves and how thick the material is when it comes out. The support type, though, is very important. All right, it defaults to none. We want to make sure that we choose breakaway support. So when it goes to print this part, all this stuff that's printing on, in midair, we need something underneath it. So we need a support material underneath. All right, so we're going to make sure we have breakaway support selected. All right, so now that we have our print settings finished up, we'll go ahead and we'll move down to arrange. Now, arrange, you can move where the part is more precisely on the build plate. Typically, I'll just click on it and drag it where I need it to be. So arrange is not super important, but this orient setting is. All right, so we can rotate this part to be in different spaces, right? So I rotated it up so that this part was standing. I'm going to keep it standing up like that. All right. So once we've oriented correctly, the last section down here is scale. Now I'm not going to change the scale because I modeled this part to be exactly 2 inches tall, so I don't want to mess with that too much. But now that I have all of these settings, I've gone down the list here. What I'm going to do is hit export or estimate. Now, typically these estimates don't take too long, but I'm using my computer, my laptop, so this may take a little while. I'm going to see if I can. Let's see if I can pause the video here. I'm not sure if I can. So I guess we'll just wait. This sometimes does take a little while with the laptops. The school computers, the desktops typically go a little quicker. When the estimate is finished, it's going to show us a simulation of what the part looks like. You'll see yellow. That yellow is the actual breakaway support material, and the green that you see is the actual part file. So once this estimate's done, what we're going to do is click export. And when you click export, you're saving that part. We'll make sure that we save it to the flash drive. And once it's saved to the flash drive, all we need to do is go over to the actual machine, plug it in, and then we'll be good to go. So this estimate is almost finished. It's going to generate this preview. Typically with the actual school desktop computers, this doesn't take more than 20, 30 seconds. So what you're seeing here, that yellow is that print material. It is ripping it out real quick. All right, so we're actually at the Makerbot right now. I just exported the part to a Makerbot file. You guys saw all that stuff on the last part of the video. Here we are at the actual machine. Okay, this is what it looks like. We have our spool filament up here. It's our build plate down there. And this is kind of our options. We plugged in that USB right here, so the part is on this USB. It's ready to go. I'm going to see if I can get this on the video. All right, so we have a couple different settings up here. To hit play on a part, all we're going to do is choose print. All right, it went immediately into USB storage. I know there's a bad glare on the screen, but you can see USB storage up there on the top. You can also do internal parts, but we didn't do that. We exported to a USB. All right, so I'm going to go to this Beasley folder, and there it is, chest piece build plate 1. We'll go ahead and hit print. Now, before I actually hit print, it's telling me a couple things. It's saying that the print time is 1 hour and 48 minutes, and we can look at some info or copy it and make different things with it. So before we actually hit print, what I want to do real quick is take a glue stick. We're going to glue the build plate so that the part doesn't slip or move off that plate. So here's the build plate. You can see there's a lot of glue on there already. I'm just going to take the glue stick, and we'll do a little bit of that. All right, so now that that glue is on there, the part should not slip off that build plate. We won't have, a mess in there. Okay, so now that I've glued it, we're ready to go. I'm just going to hit print. Okay, so it's going to run through a couple things here. Step 1 is to get ready. It's going to move some things around, check some settings. It's then going to preheat the extruder head to a certain temperature so that the material actually melts, and then we'll see it actually start printing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here. Once we've hit play there, it's good to go. The part will start, and we will have our prints.